It's time for Watts on Wealth Radio with Barry Watts and your host, Ralph Hipp.
Welcome into the Ozarks premier radio program about your retirement planning. Hi, this is Ralph Hipp, your host, and I have the distinction and the honor of being the first news anchorman for News Team 33 KSPR in Springfield, 1987. And these days, proud to be the host of the Watts on Wealth radio show and the television show, which is also on KY3 and KSPR and all of them. Watts on Wealth, of course, this Sunday, again featuring retirement designer and tax strategist Barry Watts of Springfield's Wealthcare Corporation. Today, we'll dive into a topic that's been dominating the headlines politically and domestically, the conflicts which would have ripple effects on the economy, all the way down to your retirement pocketbook. One example of all that is the current tension still going on between President Trump and the head of the Fed, Jerome Powell. So we'll get enlightened today by our retirement expert. How does politics affect your pocketbook? Is it insulated or it's digging in there? Barry, first of all, welcome to the show. And I will mention we have some fantastic new television episodes for the fall, and great to be with you again on the radio this morning.
Well, Ralph, it's good to talk to you again. We didn't get to have the time together that we would have normally had in the studio last week because we were in a different studio with cameras and makeup and all that kind of stuff doing TV. But today we're back in the studio doing radio, and I like both of those. So we're going to have a fun time on a Sunday morning trying to help our listeners understand a little bit more about retirement, how it fits together with all the things that are going on in the markets and the economy and the news and the politics. Boy, the politics part's hard to manage.
Oh, man.
But it's going to be easy today because I have my trusty sidekick, Jeremy Zickefoose, here with me. And Jeremy is a retirement designer here at the Wealthcare Corporation. He is our Social Security expert, so we're going to have some Social Security conversation.
Very good.
Jeremy, welcome to the show again today.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
You're going to be a regular here.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, we're glad you're here.
We love it. We love it. Barry, before we get back to that little introduction I did on everything going on in Washington, are you a basketball player, or you've been a globetrotter of late? And I know coming up in the fall, you have more travels planned, but where have you traveled since we talked last?
Well, Ralph, since we talked last, I've been to Topeka, Kansas, and Table Rock Lake.
There you go.
How about that? Those are no, I haven't really, compared to how we often travel, which is airplanes, in long distance, halfway around the globe kind of stuff. No, lately it's been really kind of dialed back. It's an easy trip over to Topeka. It only takes about 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm over there quite frequently on business. And then Table Rock, of course, we keep a boat down on Table Rock, down at State Park Marina. And here's the shame of it is all summer long, we've used our boat 3 times. Now, that's not unusual for people who have boats that they don't use them enough. We've just been so busy, so gone, so going so many places. And when I stop and do the math, Ralph, on the cost of owning that boat and what the boat cost me, and then the cost to have the slip there at State Park Marina, oh my goodness, the cost of my 3 trips to the lake this year, been kind of rough.
You know about it, folks? A lot of our listeners know about that. Yeah.
Fortunately, they do. People always, what is it? They say BOAT stands for break out another 1,000. Well,
I'd heard that.
And I never really appreciated that, but it certainly worked that way this year. We have just been so busy we haven't been able to use our boat, and that's probably going to change next year. And we are using it. We were on the water last weekend. Actually had Eric Burleson and his family, Congressman Burleson, who used to work here at the Wealthcare Corporation. They joined us down at the lake. That's an annual trip for us, and I only tolerate Eric in order to get to be with his children.
Very good.
So if any of our listeners have ever been around the Burleson family, they're really sweet people, and he's got a couple of girls that are just fantastic. Reese is a senior in high school down at Ozark. And Aubrey, her sister, is a sophomore in high school at Ozark, and they are sharp, witty young women, and I enjoy them so much. And truthfully, I mean, we enjoy all of them. Angie, oh, what a sweet, sweet lady. But truthfully, for Kelly and me, kind of the humor and the enjoyment and the pleasure we have when we take our annual boating trip with the Burlesons is because we get to be with the girls. We just enjoy them so much, and it's fun to watch. And then we're going to be on the boat this weekend.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, probably on the boat later this afternoon. That whole thing going on there. The Blue Angels, by the way, we got to watch them from the water a few weeks ago when they were here. And then second week over in October or in September, we're going to be back on the boat with some friends of ours, the Garbers from over in Fordland. So the goat is the goat. Yeah, I forgot. I'm not on the farm. I'm on the lake We got goats on the farm. We got boats on the lake. So the boat on the lake is kind of the tool that we use with our friends. Jeremy, you've never been on my boat.
I've never been on your boat, but my family has some boats, and I've enjoyed it.
Well, we need to get you on the boat sometime. I've got a new tube.
Oh.
Well, it's like one of those couches.
Oh, that you sit on?
Yeah, on the lake, you'll see the Big Mabel is what they call them. They're kind of a couch behind people's boat. We've got a Big Mabel, so to speak, but it's actually a Mizzou Big Mabel.
Nice.
I think it's the only one on the lake. I found them on sale. Actually, Ralph, you'll appreciate this. The guys who invented this are KU grads, and they had KU Big Mabels, which were beautiful because KU does have beautiful colors, that red and blue. They had K-State Big Mabels, which were, of course, purple.
Sure.
And then they had some Mizzou Big Mabels, and we bought the Mizzou Big Mabel, and we put it behind the boat for the last weekend. So that was a lot of fun. So anyway, that's probably enough travel. We used up over half of our first segment.
We better get to it
Why
here.
don't we talk about retirement stuff?
That's right. Let's do that. Barry, out on the water, if you have cell phone coverage, I'd give him a call right away. 417-200-3500, 200-3500 to have your conversation with Barry Watts. I think President Trump and the federal chief, Jerome Powell, they need to go fishing on Table Rock Lake and work all this out. Let's talk about that, Barry. Get them relaxed. But these conflicts between Trump and Powell leave us wondering, the politics on the national stage, does that really affect our investments and retirement of common folks right here in the Ozarks? Can you unpack a lot of that for us? Does it matter?
I'll try to sprint here to our first break, Ralph, and give you as much as I can about that. Here's what you need to know. Trump, of course, is remaking the nation. I believe the nation needed to be remade, and I hope he's doing it the right way. He's certainly shaking things up and upsetting a lot of people, and that's probably the first step in the process. Those of you who are like, no, just quit rocking the boat. No, the boat needed to be rocked. And so one of the places that he's shaking it up is with regard to the Federal Reserve. You heard conversations about him firing Jay Powell. The Federal Reserve is actually kind of an independent agency, but not quite. It's not really quite government. It's not really quite private. Actually, the Federal Reserve itself is an amalgamation of 12 different Federal Reserve's banks. For example, there's one in St. Louis, there's one in Kansas City.
Right.
We are here in Springfield. We're actually in the 8th District, which is St. Louis, but our listeners up in Stockton and Osceola and Lamar, Joplin. Hey, we're going on the radio in Joplin very soon, Ralph.
We are.
People over in Neosho, they're in the Kansas City Federal Reserve District. So those 12 banks of the Federal Reserve actually own the Federal Reserve itself. So your bank, wherever you do business, owns a little bitty piece of the Federal Reserve. So we could even think, because I'm a farm guy, a big double circle co-ops, MFA Incorporated kind of guy, Mid-America Dairymen back in the day, those were all cooperatives. And we could kind of say that the Federal Reserve is almost kind of a cooperative bank of banks. There are about 10 governors in each Federal Reserve District. They're appointed by the president for 14-year terms. They make about $250,000 a year. And their job is to set interest rates. And that's when they get together in the Federal Open Market Committee and they say, okay, the interest rates are going to be this. So they set interest rates. And their bigger job is to have us have economic stability. And they do that through interest rate manipulation. Now, we can argue whether that's a good idea or not. I think it might not be. I'd prefer to let the open market just determine what those rates are going to be. So there's what the Fed is. Now, here's what's going on with the Fed and Trump and how it affects you. So Trump doesn't like Fed President Jay Powell, but he appointed him to the job. So what are you going to say? He wants him to quit. He's going to quit. In fact, in May of 26, his term is up, and he did just fire Lisa Cook.
He did.
She's a governor from Chicago, one of the board of governors from the Chicago Federal Reserve Bank. She has been accused of mortgage fraud. Doesn't mean she's guilty, just means she's accused. So Trump claimed the right to fire her, and he did fire her, and she is sort of refusing to accept being fired, and she's fighting back legally, and ultimately the courts are going to decide how that goes down. I think Trump will win. So the reason Trump's so interested in the Fed is Trump wants rates lowered because that's going to spur economic growth.
Okay.
And cheaper money entices borrowing, and borrowing results in expansion. Companies build more, do more products and so forth, and that's where economic growth comes from. And so he needs to fire the leadership because the Fed has been a little bit slow giving him the lower rates he wants. Now, the question is, are lower rates good for the public? Well, if you're borrowing money, yes, lower rates are really good. If you're a stockholder in companies, are lower rates good? Yes, lower rates are good then. But what if you're a retiree, like many of our listeners who are living on a fixed income? They're dependent on CD rates and bond rates. Maybe lower rates isn't such a good thing. So, Ralph, this is the tension between political leaders and the Fed that can create uncertainty in the markets. And for many of our listeners who are retired or nearing retirement, this uncertainty can be unsettling, because it could mean that the stock market is more volatile than normal, that your interest rates are lower than normal, and that could be a tremendous problem for your retirement.
Barry, as we go to our break here on Watts on Wealth, the fantastic radio show, anything else you want to mention to our friends listening in? What should they be thinking about and working on right now in all this?
Well, Ralph, I think what's important is that you have an all-weather retirement plan. It needs to have contemplated the possibility that things can go wrong, and we need to have contingencies built into your retirement plan. And the reason is because you can't control what happens in Washington. But you can be sure that you have a plan that will respond to the markets, whether they're good or bad. And that plan starts with planning your income correctly. So you're going to build income first, because income is what you're going to need in retirement. And a good income plan can make all the difference in the world. When we talk about income a little bit later, Ralph, if you'll remind me, I want to tell you a story of a client of mine who's a Bass Pro retiree.
Yes.
Who has 28 years of guaranteed income in his portfolio. And I've got another John Deere retiree I'll tell you about as well.
So Bass Pro and John Deere. And friends, don't go far. I know you're getting ready for church, but don't leave us and have us in earshot, As Barry also has a new book written to unravel the mysteries and alleviate all the concerns you might have right now. His book is also called Watts on Wealth. You can buy it on Amazon for $18.95, but gosh, he'll send you a free copy right now and autograph it for you. And just text the word book right now, BOOK, to Barry's number, 417-200-3500, 200-3500, and the team at the Wealth Care Corporation will put that book in the mail to you. So we're promising a Bass Pro retiree story, a John Deere employee story. Right after this break, we got to get Jeremy involved. We want to get into talking Social Security in the next part of our show, as Watts on Wealth, the radio show, is right back after this.
Explore how Barry Watts can support your financial aspirations. Set a consultation by texting VISIT to 417-200-3500. Discover the possibilities at 417-200-3500 with a simple VISIT text.
Do you think you'll pay lower taxes in retirement? Really? Many people go into retirement assuming that, but end up paying as much, if not more, in taxes than when they were working. How taxes can affect your retirement is one of the chapters in Watts on Wealth, the latest book written by local tax strategist and retirement designer Barry Watts of the Wealth Care Corporation. Barry takes you through the many tax considerations you should make before you retire. To get your free copy of Watts on Wealth, the book, call 417-200-3500 or go to wattswealth.com. The book is full of actionable retirement tips and strategies Barry has gathered from his more than 30-year career in helping families just like yours retire successfully. Get your free copy of Watts on Wealth, the book, now by calling 417-200-3500 or go to wattswealth.com. Advisory services provided through Wealthcare Asset Management, LLC.
For a more confident retirement journey, get Barry Watts' Wealth Care Kit. Discover strategies addressing life's biggest retirement obstacles. Request yours by texting KIT to 417-200-3500. Again, that's KIT to 417-200-3500.
Welcome back this Sunday morning. It's the Watts on Wealth radio show. Ralph Hipp here along with Barry Watts, and he's the main retirement designer and tax strategist of the Wealth Care Corporation, talking about all things retirement to get your Sunday morning started, or you may have been up for a few hours and watched our TV show as well. Barry and Jeremy Zickefoose, let's talk about Social Security for a moment. With all the economic uncertainty we have, how can retirees make the most of their Social Security benefits, Jeremy?
Well, that is a great question, and unfortunately, there is just not one right answer other than you have to run your numbers. That's a lot about what I talk about. It is very complex. It can be very confusing when to claim, how to claim. Do you claim your own benefit? Do you claim spousal? Do you even qualify for spousal? Who knows?
Well, can I just go to Social Security and ask that question?
Oh, well, good luck. I don't know if you've tried to call our office. Have you ever tried to call our office?
Our office, I call our office regularly, and people answer the phone because I pay them to answer the doggone phone.
Oh, no, I mean the Social Security office.
The Social Security office. Well, I guess technically that's our office too, since we own the government.
Oh, yeah?
Well, by the way, I think people have forgotten we own the government. When I hear this, well, the government says I have to do this. Well, the government says I have to do that. No, that's baloney. In fact,
no, they work for us.
And they do work for us, and they do need to remember that. And I just want to send a shout out right now to Senator Mike Moon. Mike is a senator from over in Lawrence County, covers a large part of our area here, and he is one of the most consistent people in bringing up this issue that the government works for us and we own the government, and you don't have to do what the government says. And so I just shout out to my buddy Mike Moon and deep condolences to Mike. He just lost his son in a boat fire out in Virginia.
Oh, no.
And just had the funeral last weekend back here in Springfield. But Mike's a super dude, and I think a lot of him. So big shout out to Mike Moon there. Sorry, I got you off topic, Jeremy. We're talking about Social Security, and you're kind of our guru specialist at WealthCare. Exactly how did that come to be? Tell us about that.
Well, sure. Each of our advisors at WealthCare, we try to have our kind of own area of specialty that we look into and can really speak into. And one of the big factors that helped me know all of this stuff is, well, one, I have my NSSA, which is your National Social Security Advisor's License. And actually, one of the things I found interesting, Barry, do you have any idea of how many people in the state of Missouri are financial advisors?
Oh, how many financial advisors in Missouri? 3,500.
Okay, close. It's about 10,300.
Really?
Yes, in the state of Missouri.
Okay.
There's quite a bit. You want to take a guess on how many carry their NSSA?
10,000, you said. I'm guessing 5% of them. I'm 500.
500. Okay. Well, including myself, there is 10.
10 people in the whole state.
In the whole state, which I find really interesting because, well, Social Security applies to basically everyone.
Everybody who retires.
Everyone.
Every financial advisor is managing retirement money.
Exactly. And yet most advisors aren't focusing on that planning side with their clients. And that's what I found. A lot of them really just, they don't know what to do, how to do it. It is a complex thing, and it's read some articles online, or what'd your parents do, or it's a very important thing, because our first step in creating retirement confidence here at WealthCare is making sure you have income to age 100. And one of the main sources of income for all retirees, basically, is going to be your Social Security benefit.
Speaking of my Social Security benefit, by the way, a week ago Monday, I had my 62nd birthday, and I didn't get a card from you.
Oh, I told you we were at the baseball game. I told you happy birthday.
Yeah,
I guess I should have gotten a card.
I would say that I was 2 beers in, but I don't drink beer, so that wouldn't have been true. So maybe I just wasn't listening carefully. So I turned 62.
Yes.
Maybe I should go down and sign up for Social Security. What do you think?
Well, I can't give you a frank yes or no if that makes sense for you. Everyone's situation, you have unique numbers, you have a unique situation, and you have to run your numbers to know when is the best time to claim Social Security, what will maximize your benefit, not only for yourself now, but also that will work for you in the future, especially when one spouse passes away. That's when a lot of things really change. And so what works for you now may not work in the future. So unless you are sitting down with an advisor who can speak into all of those issues and run the hundreds of different combinations and age combinations to figure out what makes most sense for you, you really are just kind of guessing.
So something I've always taught my clients, so when I'm working with them and they all are kind of 62 and rushing to Social Security, I've got a word for that, and the word is, whoa, well, there's more to it than that. Mm-hmm. Because if you're not ready to quit work, you wind up paying taxes on your Social Security money. You can actually pay all that money back to Social Security if you're not careful. And in the process, you can limit the amount of Social Security benefits you get. So the point is, before people just fly off the handle and select their Social Security number, they need to do business with you and talk with somebody who's qualified like you are. And there's only 10 guys in the state with your qualifications.
Yeah, I talked specifically to Yeah, to NSA themselves. And they told me there's 10. And just so you know, the other 9 are in Kansas City and St. Louis.
So you're the only guy in 417 land
Yes,
who
sir.
can help people with this.
Yep.
And or at least who's certified to help people with this.
Yeah.
Well, so if people want to come see you, which they ought to do, because getting the answer to this question is really important, they ought to pick up the phone and give us a call. Ralph's going to tell them how they can do that right now.
Yes, indeed, folks. That number to talk with Jeremy, Barry, Matt Dean, Medicare Matt, any of the team there at the Wealth Care Corporation, it is 417, all around Springfield and Joplin and the Ozarks, 417-200-3500. And a reminder again, text the word book, B-O-O-K. No change in the spelling there. Text book, and we'll get a copy of Barry's book, Watts on Wealth, out to you right away, guys.
Well, so coming up very soon, I think you've got a special class that you're going to be teaching on Social Security.
I do.
Tell us about that class. When is it? Where is it? How is it? What do I got to pay to come? Help me understand.
Sure. Well, we are having them at the Brentwood Library Center, and essentially it's
so that's at Brentwood, so north on Glenstone.
Yes, sir.
Just past the big cemetery, north of the mall. So you pass the mall, and then you pass the cemetery, and then you would turn right at the end of the cemetery. That's what street is that? It's not Brentwood Street?
I don't recall.
It's the street that runs by St. John's. Is that? I should know the answer to this. I can't tell you the street. You got me. Oh well. That's fine. Doesn't matter. So
If it's by the cemetery, Barry, is it the last street that we drive on? Well, not necessarily.
Oh, that's a bad undertaker.
Not necessarily.
Joke. You know, I kind of grew up around the funeral home, the Stump Funeral Home down there in Stone County. I used to have a shine for the undertaker's daughter, and when I was a little kid, and so you don't want to get into matching undertaker joke wits with me, Ralph. I just thought I would tell you. So anyway,
I'll remember that. Yeah,
that's at the Brentwood Library, which is just north of the Battlefield Mall and a little bit back to the east. So tell us about that workshop. What happens in the workshop, Jeremy?
Sure. Well, what I do is I talk about Social Security, and I'm answering essentially the 3 big questions of, well, what is Social Security? How complex is it? And will it be there for you? And I'm going to talk about all sorts of different claiming strategies, the taxation on Social Security, how you might be able to reduce that, and also all the things that you're going to need to know how to start planning. And then Matt Dean.
So can I ask you a question on taxes?
Yes, sir.
So taxation on Social Security. I kind of thought you didn't have to pay tax on Social Security, but I know better because I'm in this business. But a lot of people think that, and I thought it for years before I learned better. Tell me about taxation on Social Security.
Well, I wish that was the case. But they actually do have a bracket to figure out if your Social Security will be taxable. And that's called the provisional income. You want to make sure that's the sum of all of your income, whether that be earned income, withdrawals from your 401ks or IRAs. It could be even interest from tax-free municipal bonds, capital gains, and also half of your Social Security income is all factored into
That's a dirty little secret.
I know.
Social Security income counts against figuring out whether Social Security is taxable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks.
I agree.
It just should not be that way.
Yeah. So if you can get in your head kind of what you think your provisional income would be.
All right, but wait a minute. I thought that Trump made Social Security tax go away.
Oh, no, that is
no tax on Social Security.
Unfortunately not true. I wish that was the case. He gave some great senior deductions and things like that, but the taxation on Social Security is still there. Now, there are some proposals about eliminating it altogether, but nothing has been passed as of yet.
Okay, so I interrupted you. Do you remember where you were headed with your statement before? Carry on. You're doing a great job.
Yeah. So once you figure out, where your provisional income is what they're going to do is they're going to split you into brackets, and they're kind of cliffed. You're either in the 0% tax bracket, which is where most of us want to be, or the 50% or 85%. Now, when I say 50% or 85%, that doesn't mean you're paying taxes at 50% or 85%. What they're saying is, well, up to 85% of your Social Security check will be taxable at your current tax rate, whatever that may be, the 22 or 24 or 12%, whatever it is. And one of the big things about that is, if you're a married couple filing joint, the top of that bracket to be determined as, yes, you're going to pay up to 85% of your Social Security check is if your provisional income, all your earned income plus half your Social Security is over $44,000 a year.
So a teacher earning just a teacher's pension.
Yeah.
Then their spouse is going to pay on their Social Security. Well, no, maybe not because of the way that flows to the tax returns. But my point is, Well, now teachers actually can have access to Social Security too.
They can.
So their pension,
it can hurt them and make their checks
pension
be
can
lower.
cause their Social Security to be
exactly. And the income, the amount of provisional income you need to start having taxation on your Social Security is quite low. And actually, here's an interesting fact, Barry. Do you know when the last time they updated the brackets on income for provisional income?
I'm going to guess it's been at least 20 years.
Yeah, 1985.
So the number they put in 1985,
it's still
was
the same
a big
number today.
Still, yeah. Oh, that sucks.
I mean, think about how much stuff cost in 1985.
Sorry to be vulgar there and say that way, but it's like this is why the government should be out of the business. Just stop, because they're messing with us and jerking our chain. And maybe I'll get Burleson back on the boat and take him way out in the deepest part of Table Rock Lake and preach a little bit of this at him and make him make some promises before I let him get back in the boat. Throw him out in the water. And I'm just teasing. Of course, I love Eric. I wouldn't do that to him. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. No, I definitely love him. Would I do that to him? We'll see. All right. So wrapping up our Social Security conversation a little bit, you're going to teach this class. When is the class?
The class is, it's in the Brentwood Center on September 12th. From
what day of the week?
What day of the week?
We don't know what day of the week.
That's a Friday.
I think that's a Friday.
It's a Friday?
I think.
Excellent.
And that's from 4 to 5.
4 o'clock in the afternoon to 5, so only gives you an hour.
Yes,
and in that hour, you're going to talk about Social Security and Medicare. Matt Dean is going to be there.
Yeah, and he's going to talk about Medicare and all the complexities of that.
So if you're interested in participating in that particular class, you need to call us at the Wealth Care Corporation.
Yes, sir.
Ralph, give them the phone number.
All right. Hey, to sign up for that and knock off work early and be there before 4 and get ready to hear Jeremy talk about all that, give them a call at 417-200-3500. It's 417 in Springfield, 200-3500. Well, while Social Security is sure a foundation block of retirement income planning, taxes are at the core of that, and you can hear from our show. This is the center of everything they do at the Wealth Care Corporation. Barry designed the corporation that way because he got frustrated hearing clients complain they couldn't get proactive tax advice from their financial advisor. Their tax preparer, the one filing the taxes, and strategy's a whole nother matter there. Their tax filer only looked at the numbers from last year and never proactively talked about strategies. That's not what they do. So Barry went back to school, got certified by the IRS in taxes, and not tax return preparation, but in tax law and applying the strategies that will help you out. So if you think you're paying more than you'd like to in income taxes and you'd like to reduce that toll, that burden, call the Wealth Care Corporation. They'll talk with you about the strategies they use in helping clients pay less, and in some cases they can eliminate taxes on your Social Security and even achieve getting you into that 0% tax bracket. How does that sound? So once again, call this Sunday, leave a message or text VISIT. It's 417-200-3500. Once again, even text the word VISIT to that number. Somebody from Wealth Care, they'll reach out right away and set up a time for you to talk with an advisor about reducing your income tax bill. I would sure not wait on that. Once again, it's 417-200-3500 to Barry and Matt and Jeremy at the Wealth Care Corporation. You know, friends, retirement's all about mailbox money. When we come back in the second half of our show after the break, we'll dive into some of those strategies that might help your retirement dollars go longer and last longer. And stay tuned as more Watts on Wealth is on the way right after this.
Prepare for retirement with key insights from Barry Watts Wealth Care Kit. Get your essential guide by texting KIT to 417-200-3500 and start planning today. That's 417-200-3500 KIT. Unsure of how market volatility might impact your investments? Speak with Barry Watts, who can offer strategies tailored to withstand market fluctuations. Just text VISIT to 417-200-3500 to meet with Barry Watts today. Again, text VISIT to 417-200-3500.
Time now, as promised, as advertised, for the second half of the Watts on Wealth radio show for this lovely Sunday morning. This is former News Team 33 KSPR anchorman Ralph Hipp, now Barry's radio host for the show, Watts on Wealth. Barry, of course, is the retirement strategist from the Wealth Care Corporation. Barry, let's continue chatting about retirement income planning for this part of the show.
Well, let's do it, Ralph. I'm happy to do that. First of all, retirement is all about income. And it's scary when the checks stop coming. And so the story is this: you need to have a strategy to transition, to wean yourself from your employer's paycheck onto the income that comes to you from Social Security and pensions and withdrawals from your retirement savings. Now, I want to talk about those withdrawals for a moment, Ralph. I promised you earlier in a different segment that I would tell you about a couple of my retiree clients that I just recently dealt with. One of the things we believe in at the Wealth Care Corporation is that you ought to have some protected principal. That is a portion of your retirement account which cannot be affected by a negative stock market, but still gives you good market-based rates of return. And so we do that with most of our clients as we prepare them to retire. You know, as you move into retirement, one of the things that you want to do is kind of de-risk your portfolio. And the way you do that is having some protected principles. So I like to do math on showing a client how much of their income that they're going to take can come from protected principles. So, for example, I had a guy yesterday who was, this particular person was a Bass Pro retiree. And he needed $3,000 a month in additional income besides his pension and so forth. So he's going to get a $3,000 check. He's taking that out of his own money. And so what we wanted to do was do the math on how long his protected principal would last. Now, here's why that's important. If the market went south, the stock market went south and stayed south, and it was a long, dark winter economically in the stock market, we want to have a place to pivot to take income from, so that we can take the income from protected principal and give our stock market accounts time to grow back. And so this particular person, when we did the math, he's got enough money in protected principal. It's about less than half of his account. But he's got enough money in protected principal that he could start spending that today and he wouldn't run out of money for 28 years. Now, I want you to think about that for a moment. Let's say the stock market does go south tomorrow. Do you think it might come back in 28 years? I think it probably would. So the point is, if you've got enough in protected principal, then you can endure a bad stock market and give it time to heal itself, because historically, time does heal stock market wounds. But if you're trying to draft that money out of your stock market account while your stock market account's going down, that's a losing proposition. You can't do it. So anyway, this client had 28 years worth. He's 67 years old. So that's enough to take him to, what is that math? 95, 96, something like that. Had another client I was talking with earlier in the week. He had enough money to last him for 10 and a half years. And he was planning on retiring at 55. So, in his case, he's got 1,000 acres worth of land and he's got, I think he told me, 100 and some mama cows. That 100 and some mama cows is worth, they're worth $4,000 a head. So he's got other things he can depend on besides his 10 years worth of money. That was the important thing to understand there. So here's what we need to think about, Ralph. When you retire, you're going to need sources of income. Your income, you need a portion of it protected. So when times get bad, you can let your other money just kind of rest and recover from the difficulty. That comes from protected principal. Now, there are some other things about income you need to think about, which is, when are you going to take your Social Security? Jeremy has addressed that. He's addressed, will your Social Security be taxable? One of the things I want to come back to then is, so when the time comes to take some money out of your investments, like the guy I just mentioned who's going to be taking about $3,000 a year. But anyway, you need to think about which account are you going to take your money out of? Are you taking it out of his account or her account if you're married? And oh, by the way, are you taking it out of the taxable account or the tax-free account? Now, let me tell you, Ralph, about a mistake many people make. A lot of people, when they go to reach into their accounts, the money they want to take out is their Roth money, their tax-free money. And I have two words about that. No, stop. Don't do that. Don't take your Roth money first. Why do people want to take the Roth money? Because it's not taxable. Oh, it's wonderful. I'm not paying any taxes on it. Now think with me for a moment. If taxes are going to go higher in the future, and they're as low now as they're ever going to be, we want to spend our taxable money first, and we want to save our tax-free money for later when taxes will be higher. And if we die before taxes get to be higher, we want to give tax-free money to our kids. You can give your Roth to your kids, and they have 10 years to leave that money in the Roth and let it grow tax-free before the government requires them to take it out and then put it back over into a taxable account. So you need to think carefully about which accounts you're going to access for your retirement income. And I think that's a really critical piece of the puzzle.
I know that you know, friends, you don't just put money away in retirement savings and then you're retired and then you pull it out. You've got to have those reliable streams of income. And Barry is very big on, well, among other things, knowing so much about taxes and protecting your principal. But he also has steps that he helps you take. Barry, what is step one to retirement income planning that Ozarkers should be doing with you?
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. How about this one, Ralph? Let's get a retirement income plan.
All right.
A retirement income plan. Almost nobody has one, and everybody needs one. A retirement income plan is math that covers all the years of your retirement, starting with the first year you retire and going until you're 100 years old. Now, don't argue about I won't live to be 100. I know you probably won't live to be 100, but you might. And the point is, we don't want you to run out of money before you run out of life. So the retirement income plan has to cover both spouses because one of the spouses is going to die first. And when that happens, one Social Security check is going to go away. And then the question that comes up is, well, when that one check goes away, will the surviving spouse have enough income to meet their needs? So it starts with the very beginning calculation you have to do is you have to be able to answer the question, how much money are you going to need in retirement deposited into your bank account? We call it sitting on the porch money. Now, not everybody's going to retire and sit on the porch, although a few days of sitting on the porch wouldn't hurt my feelings. But at a certain point, you want to get up and go fishing or do something or get active in life once again. I get it. But if all you did is went home and just sat on the porch, so you're not spending any money going fishing, putting gas in the boat. You're just sitting on the porch. How much money has to be deposited into your bank account to pay the bills? Think about it, man. What bills are you going to have to pay? Well, you're going to have to pay the grocery bill and the gas bill and the electric bill and the water bill. And you got to pay the bill for the boy to come mow your yard. If you can find one, he'll do it anymore. And you're probably going to have to pay the bill for, I don't know, the boy who throws your newspaper. Do they even throw newspapers anymore? I think so.
I don't think so.
I think they do. But they never could get mine in the right place. So I finally quit subscribing to it. I'm going to forget that. I'm tired of digging it out of the ditch and the weeds. So all the bills you're going to pay, the insurance on your car, the insurance on your house. We're going to have to pay to have the car serviced and maintained every once in a while. Gas for the car. Oh, what about money for the kids, grandkids, for their birthdays and for Christmas? Total all that up. And then we figure out per month what that's going to look like. Now, some people say, well, Barry, I just don't know. I just can't do it. I don't know. So here's a way to begin. Start with the income that you're bringing home now. How much is deposited into your bank accounts now? And tell me this. Are you saving any of that money, or are you pretty well spending it every month? Well, now we've sort of kind of arrived at your sitting on the porch number. We know what your income has to be. And once we know what your income is, then we can look for your sources. Do you have anything besides Social Security? Do you have a pension? Do you have a rental house? Did you inherit a farm that's got some cash rent coming in from it? Did you win the lottery? I don't know. And so when we begin to put those pieces together, then we ask this question, what's your annual tax liability going to be?
Mm-hmm.
And those dirty little RMDs.
Oh, no.
Required minimum distributions.
Yes.
That will take place when you're 73 or 75.
Mm-hmm.
How will that affect your taxes? How will it affect what you pay for Medicare? It does, and people don't know it. They don't know that's going to happen. But that can certainly cause Social Security to be taxable as well. So we begin to put all of that together, and that helps us to figure out whether or not you've got enough money to be able to retire and stay retired, because you don't want to have to get to 85 and go back to work. That's a bad time to do it. And one more thing we have to really consider. If you have a long-term health care event, how's that going to impact your retirement income? If one of the spouses goes into the nursing home and maybe stays there 3 or 4 years, spends a lot of money in the nursing home and then dies, well, what about the surviving spouse? Are they going to have enough money?
Barry, also let me get in a minute or two with you about the market and volatility of the stock market, and how does that play into the equation right now?
Well, volatility can always be a problem if you don't put some shock absorbers on your plan. So imagine, Ralph, that you're withdrawing 4% per year out of your investments, okay? And the first year, your investments earn 10% and you withdraw 4%, so you are net 6% positive. Your account value went up 6% that year. Now let me ask this question. Do you think, Ralph, that the stock market is going to gain every year?
No.
There's going to be some negative years. That's unlikely. So let's say in year 2, the market loses 10% and you're taking out 4% to live on. Now you're down 14%. So now let's put those 2 years together. The second year, you're down 14%. The first year, you were up 6%. You put the 2 years together, you're down negative 8%. That's almost a tenth of your retirement income that has vanished in 2 years. Now, Let's go back to 2000, 2001, 2002. 3 years in a row where the stock market was negative. Let's go back to 2008. S&P 500 lost roughly 37% that year. If you experience a 37% negative year and you take 4% out, you're down 41%. You can't recover from that. People say, well, I can't recover. The stock market always comes back. No, it can't come back from that. Then mathematically, it's impossible. And if we were sitting in a room together, I would show you the math that demonstrates that that's impossible. So the point is, you have to have a plan that diversifies you with some growth and some income using some protected principles, some money that cannot be affected, years worth of money that can't be affected by the stock market. And all of that then comes together to build a retirement plan for you that will allow you to retire with a sense of confidence that you've got enough money to last all of your retirement years.
Indeed.
That's what we help people do at the Wealth Care Corporation.
And Barry has his famous 6 steps to retirement confidence. The process will take you through each of the areas and build a solid plan for you and your family to alleviate all your worries so that it makes sense for you. Call right now. Schedule to talk with an advisor. Barry's number is 417-200-3500. You can even on this Sunday text the word visit to that same number, 200-3500. Somebody from the office will reach out and set up a time for you to talk with an advisor there about developing your retirement plan, giving you confidence. So once again, it's 417-200-3500. With Barry Watts, this is Ralph Hipp. You are listening to the Sunday Morning Watts on Wealth, and back with your questions that you've mailed in or clicked into Barry in just a moment here. Don't go far.
Curious about securing your financial future? Barry Watts brings expertise to your retirement plans. Arrange a meeting by texting VISIT to 417-200-3500. Again, it's VISIT to 417-200-3500.
Imagine for a moment that an intense storm is pounding your house. Will your roof leak? Will the siding peel away? Will your basement flood? If your house is properly built and maintained, you'll be fine. But what about your 401k or your investments? The stock market has had a pretty good run the last few years, but is its current turmoil making you feel uneasy? Are you confident your portfolio is built to weather a financial storm? Now may be a great time to get a second opinion on your retirement plan. Call Barry Watts and the team at Wealth Care at 417-200-3500 now. They'll examine your portfolio and show you if your investments are in need of some weatherproofing. Call Barry Watts and the team at Wealth Care today at 417-200-3500 to get your no-obligation second opinion. Don't let your retirement get caught in the rain. Call 417-200-3500. Investment advisory services are provided by Wealth Care Asset Management, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Investing involves risk.
Market volatility can be daunting, but having a strategy in place can provide stability amidst the uncertainty. Consult with us to learn about approaches that address market ups and downs. Call 417-200-3500 to set an appointment and secure your financial footing. Again, just call 417-200-3500.
All right, well, it's football season. We have the fourth quarter, and we have the fourth quarter of our program, too, and usually it's your questions. We love answering your questions on the television show and here on the radio side as well. So let's dig into this first one, Barry. I'm still quite a few years away from my retirement. I have no idea what my savings target ought to be. How much might I need to save so I can have a comfortable retirement? And is this a good question?
Well, Jeremy, you are a well-trained and equipped retirement advisor at the Wealth Care Corporation. So if you got that question, how would you answer it?
That's kind of just the wrong question to be asking in the first place. You know, you shouldn't have necessarily a target or specific amount of money that you need to have saved up.
But people will say, I want $1 million to retire.
Yeah.
Or I even read articles all the time say you need $2 million to be able to retire.
Well, it depends on how much you're spending.
Oh,
because
really?
if you're spending $3,000 a month, you may not need $2 million.
True that.
But if you're spending $20,000 a month, well, that might not be enough.
That's true that
So
as well.
you first have to set that target spending number, that sitting on the porch number. And then what we can do is we can then back into the math and see, well, how much you have saved up right now, is that enough to pay you out, every single month, year after year, in retirement so that you can maintain that style of living? That's the only way to really answer that question. There's no perfect right number of how much to have saved because everyone's number is different and it's based on how much income you need.
Sounds brilliant to me. People just ask the wrong questions sometimes. And it's not because nobody's malicious in asking it, obviously, and they just don't know how to think about it. The problem isn't the problem. The problem is you don't know how to think about the problem. And what we do at the Wealth Care Corporation is we help people think about these problems.
Yeah.
Very good. Question number 2. I think I have a pretty good handle on our financial plan for retiring, but I'm worried that I'm missing something. Do you have some kind of a retirement checklist or to-do list to help me make sure I'm not forgetting to do anything as I get set to retire? And how is that a good question as well?
Well, Ralph, these are all good questions because if you need an answer to your question, it's a good question. So there's not a bad question here. Sometimes there's a wrong question. It's not a right question to ask. Maybe there's a better question. But this is a good question. So here's the deal. I don't have a written checklist that I can send you, a list of things that you need to have resolved, but I can kind of create one in your mind. So grab your pencil. You may want to write some things down or turn on the recorder on your phone right now. And you can punch the button and you can record what we say, and this might be helpful to you. So the first thing I would say that you need to be sure you know you're sitting on the porch number. How much monthly retirement income are you going to need?
Yeah. And then you're going to need to know, well, do you actually have a written monthly income plan that shows that it can provide that sitting on the porch number every month for the rest of your life? And then you're going to want to definitely look at and see if you have a pension. Are you going to take the lump sum from your pension, or should you actually be taking the monthly income going forward? And what makes sense for you in your situation?
Yeah, why do you make that choice? And there are some really big reasons why you might or might not want to take the pension. You might want to take the lump sum. Mm-hmm. Another thing I'd suggest, Jeremy, is a person needs to decide how much risk they're comfortable taking. I saw a case this week where we had a guy come in who said he was willing to take no risk. He didn't want to take any risk at all. And he has 92% of his retirement portfolio invested in the stock market. Hey, folks, gee whiz. Dude, I just don't even know how you got there.
92%.
He had 92% in the stock market, and he said he wanted no risk. And so there's the question. How did he get there? And do you know how much risk is in your portfolio?
Yeah. And then you want to make sure that, do you know how much taxes you're going to actually be paying in retirement? Because what we find is, what you make doesn't really matter. It's what you keep that really matters. So at the end of the day, will you be paying taxes on Social Security? Are you going to pay penalties for your Medicare called IRMA if you're earning too much money? And what will your RMDs look like? And are they going to trigger more taxes for you?
I think you probably want to figure out, do you know when to sign up for Medicare? And do you have a plan for what you'll do to pay for the things that Medicare won't pay for?
Oh, yeah.
Do you have a healthcare power of attorney and written directives? So is somebody in charge when you can't be in charge anymore, your spouse or your children? And do you have written directives on what you want done, whether you want heroic measures taken or whether you want them to let you go? That's an important part of a retirement plan.
Well, yeah. And speaking of healthcare, what happens? What's the financial impact of a long-term care event happening to you or a spouse? Because if you burn through all your funds after 3 years and pass away, well, then most of the time, women, they outlive us men by, 5 to 10, 15 years. What's the impact if that were to happen to us?
Well, since you mentioned that, what happens when your spouse does die? What's the financial impact of your spouse's death? Because you're going to lose their Social Security. Oh. So the question is, does the death of the first spouse shorten the financial lifespan of your nest egg? Meaning that the surviving spouse may not have enough money to get them to age 100 if the other spouse dies really early and we lose their Social Security check. That's a pretty big issue.
Yeah, it's a big issue. And on top of that, you'd also be then now in a single tax bracket. So
that's right.
Your taxes go up.
Right. You'll be in a higher tax rate.
You lose your check and you can be making less money, but guess what? Pay more in taxes.
That's right.
That's just a real bad thing to be in. And finally, you want to make sure you have your estate in order. All those things that are, you've worked so hard to acquire, they go to the people, causes, charities that you want to in the easiest and quickest way possible while avoiding probate. So it doesn't have to spend, a year or two going through the court system.
Friends, don't mess up. Please give them a call. Don't delay and do it right away. Text the word VISIT right now to the Wealth Care Corporation, 417-200-3500 to talk to Matt or Jeremy or Barry Watts, 417-200-3500, and give them a call first thing in the morning, too. This kind of ties into our checklist question, guys. This person is looking 5 years ahead. If I'm retiring around 2030, Jeremy and Barry, is it more important to max out contributions to my retirement accounts this year, 2025, or should I, over the next 5 years, be more focused on building up my emergency fund?
Well, Ralph, I've got some bad news for you. It's not 5 years. It's only 4 years and 3 months.
Well,
And
yeah, it
we'll
is
be
now.
in
Yeah.
2030. Wow.
Yeah, 4.5.
So this guy's probably about 60 years old if he's 4 years and 3 months away from retirement. That would put him at 65 at that time. So my answer to the question of whether or not he should be focused on contributing to his retirement accounts or on his emergency fund, my answer to the question is yes, yes. You should definitely have an emergency fund equal to about 6 months of living expenses. Now, in order to know that, you kind of need to know what your sitting on the porch number is. You kind of need to know what you spend per month. And you should certainly be maxing out the portion of the 401k that your employer will match. Do that in the Roth side of the account, and then save the rest of it into another tax-free type account, either a Roth IRA or an Internal Revenue Code 7702 LERP account would be my advice.
Okay, and in a similar vein, a lot of our questions have a similar vein, or maybe an artery. Who knows?
Well, it is retirement, you know.
It is
it's all
retirement.
the blood system, because
That's
money is the blood circulatory system that makes retirement work.
the lifeblood of making your retirement look
Yeah,
the way you
said
want
that
it
so
to.
much more elegantly than I did look there. The lifeblood of retirement. I said money is the circulatory system or whatever I said. But Ralph's an expert. Ralph's been on a broadcast media expert his entire career. I'm just an amateur, so.
No, not at that. I think with I've got 50 years of experience and been retired 3 years now, guys. Retired from the news, thank goodness, by the way. But 50 years, and Barry's a third of a century at what he does. Jeremy, how long have you been at this now?
Oh, well, I've been with Barry for just a little over a year and
Yeah.
loving every bit of it and learning more and more every single day.
You know, and that's an important thing to bring up about the Wealth Care Corporation, Ralph. We're bringing on lots of younger people. I'm
Great.
62. I plan to be here at least another 8 years, perhaps longer than that. But we do slow down a little bit. Now I'm slowing down a little bit. And frankly, I want to go do some fun things. Kelly and I are traveling a lot,
Yeah.
as you know. We talk about that on the show. And so we're bringing in a group of young, smart whippersnappers. And they are whippersnappers, and I have to kind of set them down once in a while and line them up a little bit. But I love how smart they are. And we're training them on these things. We're teaching them over and over these lessons and principles so that we've got a continuity plan so that, our young guys will be taking care of our clients' children and their grandchildren. We want to have a 50-year firm. And if I'm pulled out tomorrow, we've got the people in place who can continue
there
to
you go.
provide the
Yeah.
service and care to our clients over a long period of time.
And what a lovely thought to bring them on board and train them and guide them along where they have 10 and 20 and 30 years of experience doing this in this ever-changing world we live in. So they'll be ready for it. This person is ready for it, guys. Our final question of the program. I'm 55 and thinking about early retirement. I'm not sure if I have enough savings to last. How can I know that I'm ready to take the plunge at 55?
All right. Well, what I would say is repeat after me, Jeremy, these words. Retirement income plan.
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 You have to have a retirement income plan. It is a written plan that shows you every year what you will have in the way of income compared to what you want to spend annually.
Mm-hmm.
It has to cover the next 45 years because if you're 55 years old, 45 years gets you to age 100. So it's got to go to age 100 is the point. And that plan should include analysis of inflation and what the rising cost of living is going to do. It should include the analysis of losing a spouse, what that does when you lose the Social Security check. It should include an analysis of what long-term care would do to you. This income plan is the foundational piece of a holistic retirement plan like we create for our clients at the Wealth Care Corporation. And we'd be happy to create one for you if you'll just give us a call.
Please do that as we wind up our show. Hope you've enjoyed the hour. Hope you were with us for the whole hour as you're hopefully getting ready for services, church services around Springfield. So that'll do it. Barry, thank you for another great hour. Watts on Wealth.
Fabulous hour. Enjoyed being with you tremendously. And I'm going to go head to the lake now.
All right. Jeremy Zickefoose, thank you very much for your time.
Yep. Thank you, Ralph. Enjoy it every time.
And hope you enjoy it too. This is Ralph Hipp, once again, the first anchorman for KSPR, and right now loving every minute of it with J. Barry Watts. Join us again next Sunday right here for Watts on Wealth, and hope you'll hear us again next time.
Thank you for stopping by Watts on Wealth. If you would like Barry and his team to help you make a plan to get to and through retirement, or would simply like a second opinion on your current plan, give us a call today at 417-200-3500. That's 417-200-3500. And join us again next week for Watts on Wealth.
WealthCare Corporation provides tax strategy, tax compliance, accounting, and insurance services through its affiliate American Tax Strategies, LLC. Investment advisory services are provided by WealthCare Asset Management, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Past performance never guarantees future results. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for information and entertainment purposes only and should not be used as the basis for personal financial decisions without first consulting a qualified advisor. The information and opinions you've heard are believed reliable but cannot be guaranteed as to accuracy and completeness.